to talk to the major issues of the day. Joining me on our panel, we have Sarah Sparks from Sparks Consulting and Rob Campbell, a Corporate Director. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I don't know if you could, kia ora. I don't know if you could hear any of that, but we were chatting about nuclear power. It sounds like it's just sort of a measure that the New Zealand First Party member is trying to push forward, and Change Change isn't given it terribly much credence. Is he trolling us here?
Well, I imagine he is. We've got enough problems in our energy sector without injecting the kind of debates that they've had just recently in Australia about nuclear power. It doesn't seem to be a vote winner, and it's certainly not an energy solution, so he has to be trolling, not even Shane's that crazy.
I guess they've got uranium and we've got earthquakes, so there's another thing to think about too. Sarah?
Yeah, that's true. No, I'm definitely anti-nuclear, anything.
It feels like it's we're just maybe a wee bit of a distraction there.
We're actually way ahead of this part of the energy debate in New Zealand. We have a business based in Wellington which is actually dealing with exactly the opposite of the power that is generated by nuclear power, by actually fusion of nuclear power, and we're right at the cutting edge of research on that, which his government is assisting to fund, incidentally, and rightly so.
This is Dark Star you're talking about, isn't it?
Exactly.
They're world leading, really.
Open Star, right?
Open Star, sorry.
Dark Star might be part of Mr. Trump's defence system, I think.
That might be where that came from, that idea came from.
But it is, so don't diss nuclear things in general, but I'm totally with you. Things that go bang in the dark are not a good idea, really.
Yeah. Look, a mile away from that, we're looking at rising numbers of police on the streets in Auckland and places like that. But Sarah, we're also seeing some crime numbers coming down, but not in one particularly sort of crucial area around violence towards women and sexual violence. How do we fix that?
Yeah, I saw that. There was a spike of 3,000 in terms of sexual assault. Well, it is about prevention and education, and I know that, there's some great work being done by Toa Nest, which is a big national body, but also there needs to be law change as well. Did you know, and I didn't know until I was told, in terms of rape content online in New Zealand, it is not sanctioned against in the law. So, that then perpetuates behaviour which is causing harm. So we need law change, and hopefully Minister Goldsmith will treat that as a priority given these stats, and, violence in terms of sexual violence is rising. So that's an issue and it needs to be prioritised.
So that's something that's covered surely by sort of harmful digital communications or classifications or something like that, no?
Yeah, in Australia, in the state of Victoria, I understand, it is sanctioned against in the legislation. So, and I know that there's been attempts last year to try to get the government to look at this seriously because of the impact it's having, in terms of this content being available online and what's happening with our sexual violence statistics.
Yeah, I was thinking as well about if you're looking at crime and so on the streets of Auckland particularly, or anywhere. We were talking earlier to Aaron Hendry from Kickback, who was saying he's seeing record numbers or high numbers of young people coming into his organisation who cannot get an emergency housing grant because the tap's been turned off there and more responsibility put back on the individual and their families. I mean, I'm guessing that's a no-brainer. You guys would rather see a little bit more money spent there.
Not just money spent, but certainly more money, but also better thinking about what the issues are with homelessness and crime, because the two things to some extent can link. But we've got to get past this idea. There's two reasons why a crime statistic can go down. One is that less of it has happened. The other is that less of it has been reported. And we don't really know what that is in those figures that we've seen today, but it's reported crime, and there's a couple of reasons why people don't report crime. A prominent one is that they don't think it's going to get dealt with. So these statistics are not necessarily reflecting the real things. So it's a bit the same like a emergency housing statistic. You can say, oh, it's gone down, but that's because people know they can't get the emergency housing if they go there, and so you're doing exactly the right thing. Talk to someone like Aaron Henry that actually knows, and they'll tell you what's going on. The statistics are only ever an afterwards measure and never really an accurate picture of reality. The same thing for crime, homelessness, all of these things. Politicians like to point score off them, but there's always a real story back behind there that doesn't look the same.
Yeah. A little story popped up today, which caught my attention. We're back to Australia for how they're doing things better. the South Australian government is bringing in a whole bunch of stuff around plastic recycling and banning certain things. And they're getting rid of those tiny little fish that you get with your sushi, if you like that kind of thing. I mean, is that nanny state or is that a smart move? How do we sort of draw the line there?
I like anything that's getting rid of plastic rubbish, so I'm totally supportive of that. Whether I would necessarily start with the little fish, I don't know. I saw they hadn't banned the little sachets.
Exactly.
And as a sushi eater, and someone who's wrecked a lot of shirt fronts in my time, the sachets are actually a bigger problem than the little screw tops. But
you found the solution with a black shirt.
That's a big help. Why do you think I don't wear ties? But you know, I think that the point is any move to get rid of and to fight back against the plastic poisoning and the plastic pollution that's going on from things like this, I think is good. Would I have started on the plastic fish? Maybe not.
Yeah, picking on that one, you reckon?
Well, we've got to look after Papa Tuanuku and our moana, so it's a good move, given all the plastics that we find in the ocean as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. No sushi for lunch for either of
No.
you. Thank you very much for your time this morning. It's Sarah Sparks from Sparks Consulting and Rob Campbell, Corporate Director.